What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another installment of Dream Chasers Ground Zero. Today, I have with us actually our wonderful co-host for the first co-interview that we've done, April Munson. We also have our wonderful guest, Alex Mullen. We're going to get into Alex's story here in a second, but before we do, I just want to go ahead and swing it over to April and just say, what are you excited to hear about today? You know, we're kind of switching things up a little bit, and I'm super excited to hear Alex dive into his story, but I kind of just want to hear a little bit about what you're excited for before we go ahead and dive in.
Sure. So we've been interviewing a lot of professionals and we've heard a lot of their backstories, but we really haven't talked to anyone from the student perspective. And even just when we talked to other people about the idea of where this was going, they said, wow, like we really actually don't ever talk to students about their experience and what their goals and dreams are. And if they've experienced those low moments and how that brought them to college or led to whatever they decided they wanted to study and figure out what that next route for their life looks like. So I'm excited to listen to Alex's point of view and just figure out, where he came from and how he decided that he's doing whatever it is that he wants to do. I'm really excited to hear your story.
Absolutely. So with that, we're going to go ahead and dive into it. Alex, we always like to kick the interviews off by asking the guests just to kind of share the story of their quote unquote ground zero moment. And I know you and I spoke a little bit before going ahead and starting this recording that you really haven't had an opportunity to have a big kind of massive ground zero moment yet, but that's totally okay. And we spoke about how that being one of the things that we really liked about the concept we have here on the show. So with that, I'm going to go ahead and swing it over to you. Just kind of share the story of that personal ground zero moment. And like you said, just where you got started and kind of what you've learned along the way to go from there.
Right. So I just want to say, first off, thanks for having me on. Thank you, April. Thank you, Aaron. This is awesome what you guys are both doing, and I love it. Just getting the name out there and getting kids on the show, I think super, super cool, and not a lot of people are doing it. So props to you guys in that area. But going off like the ground zero kind of moment, I love the concept. I haven't had the opportunity to have one yet, knock on wood, being optimistic. But I've always had like a good support system, I'd say, around me to just kind of back me in no matter what I was doing. But it all really started back with my dad and my pap, so I run my own auto detailing business, fully mobile auto detailing business right now. And it started out actually from a driveway back in Bethel Park, south of Pittsburgh, about like 20 minutes. So I would start off, it was around my neighborhoods. It was my parents' cars. It was my family's cars. And, I started small. I didn't start off with much. And then by the time I was like 16, a couple guys down at the barber shop that I actually went to, it was about down at the bottom of the street. So my house was on top of the hill and they were down below. And he like texted me because I started an Instagram. I was like, I could post some pictures on here, see what it does, created an Instagram for it, whatnot. He goes, I'd really like for you to come do my car. I think it would be a really good opportunity for you. So I was 16, barely just got my license, was scared as heck to go down there to get into his car and drive it because he had I believe it was a Discovery Range Rover at the time. So way above my pay grade, and props to him for even letting me work on the car in the first place. But so I did the detail. I spent I forget what it was on it, and just a unreal amount of time just because I wanted to make sure it was perfect, and just he loved the results, kind of posted me up on Instagram and whatnot. And then flash forward to now, I think, I've made a way for it a little bit, and it just kind of grew from word of mouth. It grew from posting. I haven't had to spend a whole ton of marketing or advertising, because word just kind of got out there. But the people around me, I would say, are what makes it. There's no question about that, and makes it worthwhile me being able to do it. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I think I want to jump in here a little bit just to kind of provide a little bit of backstory on like when I met you. I'm a year ahead of you at Westminster College, currently in Western Pennsylvania. And I remember you coming in. Actually, I had you as a recruit because you were looking to come play basketball here, and you actually came and stayed with me for the weekend. But anyway, we talked about like what your kind of aspirations were, what you wanted to get into. And, we had talked about business and a couple different things kind of along those routes, but I don't really think the detailing thing came up that night anyway. Whereas I think I found that out later when you had actually like enrolled and started attending Westminster beyond that point. Um, and I remember like that just like wasn't like, I'm trying to think how to word it. Like it wasn't your like you. I feel like you didn't feel like that was going to be your thing yet
Right.
because
No, I would.
you didn't feel like you were going to be able to generate enough from it, and
Right.
that's where you were like a little bit shy about it. And that's what I'm trying to talk about here is because like how did you kind of go from that where you were originally in that point where like this is my hobby, I really like doing this, but I don't know if it's necessarily going to pay the bills. How did you kind of go from there to where you are now?
Right. No, exactly. So coming in my first year, it was kind of basketball is everything. I was coming in we both go to Westminster. And you were my recruit, or you were my advisor, basically looking out for me and everything. So it was awesome for sure. Our first meeting and encounters, but it was it was definitely a change for me, no doubt about it, because basketball is everything, and I was always detailing. I was in high school, but I didn't really put too much mind into it. But the past year or two, I would say, I just really dove into it. And I think it all stemmed in like just for what I wanted more so after school more than anything, And, I'm finishing out school, and it's really nice to have something that I can pursue, And as much as I love basketball, unfortunately, I wouldn't have made it to the NBA. So it was making like an early sacrifice, I would say, in terms of what I want post school and what could be the possibilities of that. So yeah, it kind of took off a little bit post COVID and everything, and I was just like, I could put some serious time and energy into this. Why not, basically? So and just kind of see where it rolls from there.
So was your major entrepreneurship?
No, it's actually business administration currently. I'm actually double majoring, so it's business administration and marketing, and minoring in entrepreneurship. And then also just decided the other day to pick up a minor in human resources. So
There you go. That's
hey,
awesome.
yeah, thank you, thank you.
He wants all the accolades.
Trying to make the most of it while we can while we're here, right?
No, absolutely, man. But I mean, just one of the things that I always liked about like, especially seeing like, I mean, with COVID and everything, we all kind of got like sent home for a little bit. So I really didn't see you there for a little while,
Right.
especially after I chose to step away from the team. But aside from that, like I really liked seeing where like even I could kind of see it from obviously the outside looking in, but I could just see where you had made that turn, where you were like, you know what, this is where I'm going to spend my time. I'm going to put my time into this anyway, despite everybody else saying, oh, well, maybe you're not necessarily going to be able to, do what you want to do with that. And you kind of said, watch me.
Right.
So
Right.
that's just one of the things I really like to see. And I don't know if I necessarily ever got to say it to you, but I'm saying it now. That's just one of the things I always admired from afar. And I just kind of want to talk about that a little bit, where I feel like we all kind of have dreams of a sort, but a lot of us don't necessarily have the want to go after that anyway. And especially after you hear someone, I guess you could say, like in a position of authority, possibly tell you that it's not possible or that you're not going to be able to do it. Like that's a huge thing, and that's something that I dealt with it as well, where you kind of have to just force yourself through that and keep pushing anyway. And like now, you especially being on the other side of that a little bit, you can see that there is a possibility here, and I can make my own way, but it's just getting through that initial belief and also getting through the initial beliefs of others potentially from the outside, maybe telling you that you can't. So is there anything that you can kind of add to that?
Right. I mean, I'm full 100% on board with exactly what you're saying, and it takes a lot, no doubt about it. And there's always a lot of outside noise, but with through like the years, I've had some really good friends around me, really good people, just kind of in my ear, just kind of giving me like those words. You make connections with people, and that was the great thing about detailing is I've got to meet like really great people. Like, hey, like do what you're doing. Continue like on like what you're doing is good. You're getting out there, you're meeting people, and that's like one of the biggest things I think with detailing and being mobile and everything like that. You get to see and meet everybody, but I really think that if you want something, you know, there's no reason why you shouldn't go after it. Especially while you're young, you know, especially while you're young. And I mean, it might sound cliche, but like we have the chance right now, I think more than ever, to make mistakes. You know, I forget the one guest you had on here a while ago, but I was actually listening to it this past summer working, and it was like kind of resonating with me. You know, you have like a family around you, you can make those mistakes. You can, you know, like they're going to support you one way or another. You know, your friends are going to look out for you. But I would definitely encourage anybody that's feeling like, you know, is this it? Just to try. And if you fail, you fail. Because, you know, you'll be able to bounce back from it. You'll be able to recoup. And that's like the beautiful part about it. You know, it's you can grow from it. And there's always, you can go back and you could go back to school. You could go back and get another degree, go back and get a master's, you know. So I'd say time is on your side for anybody young starting right now. That's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll even add to that a little bit, that a lot of where my inspiration really for this show, as well as some of the things that I've been working on, came from is, yeah, I started doing, I guess you could say, like educational interviews with just, you know, people that I could meet, people, connections through my mentors, just kind of anybody that I could kind of pick their brain about life or business, because I had no clue what any of that looked like. And a lot of people would just say that, like, dude, you're at a huge advantage right now because you're young. Like, if only I could have started sooner. Or, you know, obviously not necessarily in those words, but just so many people were saying, I wish I would have started sooner. I wish I would have started sooner. So I guess that kind of just planted a seed in my head that was like, okay, I'm young. They all keep saying they wish they would have started when they were young. I should probably start now, you know, type of thing.
Right.
And that's where, you know, the snowball kind of started a little bit, and obviously it's morphed and shaped into a much bigger thing now. But I just think it's really important to say that, like, kind of regardless of what your thing is, like whatever hump that you're kind of trying to get over, whether you're looking to lose weight, make more money, you know, whatever that is, like, you are mentally strong enough to do it. Right. You just kind of have to get yourself in a mental state where you can force yourself to do it, and then get up the next morning and do it again. And I will tell you that the most difficult time is the first day or the second. Now, I'll elaborate on that a little bit, just because the first day sometimes is easy, where you can say, like, you know what, I'm going to get my life together today. I'm going to pick up a book. I'm going to do all these things. But getting up the next morning and being able to do it again, that is also where that lies. Because there's a lot of people that can make a change for a day and then they never go back to it. A lot of us celebrate too soon, I like to say, where I'll, you know, I'm definitely guilty of this as well, where I'll pick up a book and I'll read a chapter or two one day, and then I'll spend the rest of the week celebrating and I'll never pick it up again. So my point is that you can't necessarily embellish in those things too soon, because then we never actually build those physical actions that we're trying to generate that momentum that we want.
What was that, Aaron? I think I lost you on the audio a little bit. It's like
I lost you too.
Yeah, it was like progressively going down a little bit. I don't know what happened to it. I think you're.
There might be a short in your mic.
Can you hear it now?
No,
Hard.
Try. Yeah, I'm not sure. It's like it was good at the start, and then it just kept going progressively down.
How about now?
A little better.
Still hard.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Great. Yeah, perfect.
Okay, hold on. Now you can hear me, but now I can't hear you. Okay.
How about now?
Yes.
Much better.
Okay. There we go. First time that's ever happened. I guess I'm going to do this one without the mic for the rest of the bit. Maybe we'll do like a, I don't know, $5 Venmo to whoever notices my mic disappeared in the interview first.
Be a good one.
Anyway, totally lost my train of thought. Where did you guys lose me?
I think you were talking about how you celebrating too early. That was like kind of where I lost you at.
Yeah. Yeah, I was just saying that some of us like celebrate a little bit too early, like when we start taking those right actions, making those steps forward in that direction that we want to go. where like I said that I was a guilty party of that as well, where I've had cases where I'll pick up a book and read 1 or 2 chapters in a day, and then I'll spend the rest of the week celebrating, and I'll never pick it up again. So like I'm saying that even I've fallen victim to that case where I start kind of celebrating the fact that I'm doing something right, and then I give myself a break, and then I never actually build up enough of that action for it to become habitual and actually like build momentum to get me to where I want to go.
Right. Right. Yeah. It's definitely big. I would say early building like habits of, my big thing is if I'm going out somewhere and I have an appointment, I'm there 10 minutes before. Like just like simple things I think that get kind of ingrained like within you, you know, like being on time. And then my big one I'd say is like habit wise is definitely attention to detail, like no pun intended with detailing, but like kind of in everything you do, I like to go like an extra, you know what I mean? Like an extra mile. So a client gets like this type of service, you know, I'm going to do something a little bit extra, you know, like, so he notices it in the end. Just like those like little things, you know, like little things are add up into big things. So I think it's a good motto to live by.
Well,
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, there it goes. Go ahead, April.
I was just going to say something that I'd love to add as like a long overview of some of the things that you guys were both just talking about is, Aaron, you were talking about a lot of people saying that, oh my gosh, if I would have done this when I was younger, I would have been so much further ahead. And yet I'm nearly 10 years older than both of you. And I've told Aaron all summer that I was so amazed through my whole entire non-traditional college career that I would come in and see all of these students who are 18, 19, 20, 21, and they know what they're here for. They're passionate, they're driven, they've already started, they have the support, they know what they're doing. And I didn't have that when I was 18. I lasted a month and then I withdrew and jumped into the workforce and had an apartment, and I had to go through a lot of those fails, like you said, Alex, and make those mistakes and figure it out and come back to the positivity, reroute my friend group, figure out what I really wanted to do. So as we're doing this with these students, I think it's also important to note that it doesn't have to necessarily be a traditional student. You could be a student at any point, but you know, just having that drive, like you said, to go back and not celebrate too early, but to keep going and still knock yourself down a few pegs, but stay focused and surround yourself with the right people, even if that means you're a student at 28, 29. I think there's limitless potential, and that even someone that's closer to 30 could still start and do something very well, just like you're doing too, Alex.
Right. No, I agree 100%, April. Like that's awesome. Everything that, you know, you've been through and did, you know, I give you all the props in the world. That's awesome. You know, I've met people from like, I would say have been in the workforce for a while, and then they go, I didn't even know what I wanted to do till I was 40 years old. And you're like, you know, that makes sense. You know, you gotta live a little bit to really buckle down and know what you want. So it's definitely awesome. You know, that story's great. I love it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, I'm blinking a little bit. So in like with you being kind of our first, like April had kind of mentioned, student guest, I want to talk a little bit about how I know we've talked a little bit about kind of writing the other way of other people's beliefs, but what would you kind of say to other students that like might be in some of your classes, or really maybe some of those ones that you don't even know yet, but that just have these type of aspirations but aren't taking any sort of action on them right now? And I'll also take a second to kind of elaborate on what April had said, that when we kind of came up with this idea to start interviewing younger entrepreneurs, it wasn't necessarily with just students in mind. It was with just kind of, I guess you could say, people that are new to the game. Like we call them young entrepreneurs because this is just something that they're kind of getting into and trying to, you know, find their way, think on their feet, make things happen. They don't exactly know what they're doing. I'll tell you that I don't, but I'm here for it. I'm trying to embrace these opportunities. I'm trying to make change in my life and the life of others. And that's exactly what you're doing as well. That's why obviously you're here. But anyway, going back to the question, what would you say to, you know, other students out there that might also kind of have similar aspirations, or just kind of have dreams? And, what would you say to those that are kind of like scared to take that next step and pursue it despite what others are thinking?
Yeah, no doubt. I really think a big part of getting into it is communicating about it. So even, your closest friends, if you're thinking of something that you want to do, just be like, hey, like I'm really thinking about doing this, and like run it by them and just go out and try it, because those people are going to support you regardless. Family members are going to support you, and I think if you have like that open air of communication, you're just telling them like, hey, I'm going to go out and do this. I think realizing in yourself like what you want is big too. Just realizing like, hey, like I can go and do something else if this doesn't work too. Like back to the points that we were talking about a little bit earlier. So there's definitely all kinds of options. So I think if you have a desire to do something, there shouldn't be anything that's stopping you. Just to go out and kind of make your way,
Yeah, absolutely. And I think I'll add to that just a little bit that one of the things that I was dealing with as I was kind of, shaping who I am, and obviously still am, but a lot of the things that I dealt with was I was asking the wrong people for advice, where there's a lot of people out there that are good intentions, such as like you said, like your family or your friends. But there's also a lot of people like, let me rephrase. There's not a lot of people that, matter of fact, there's probably no one that is going to see your vision the way you see it.
Right.
And that's what I was trying to frame there.
Right.
Anyway, like that is one of the issues that I have dealt with probably numerous times already, that there's a lot of people that can understand what you're thinking. They'll understand why you want to pursue said opportunity, but they don't see what you see, and they're not going to, and that's okay. But what I'm saying is you have to be careful about those that you open up to. And it's not something that like somebody's gonna like turn around and stab you in the back. Like it's not one of those things, but it's just that there's a lot of small thinkers out there where like me, I had a few ideas coming into school and stuff that I was like, I want to do ABC. And one of the first people that I told about that was in a position to help me with those things said, well, you're not going to be able to do that. And that kind of really changed a lot of things for me at that time, because really it just made me want to give up on that idea. And that's what I'm trying to say, like to any students out there that have a big idea, whatever that thing is, just don't let one person tell you that you can't, because it's not that way. And really, if there's anybody that is telling you that it's impossible or that you can't do it, odds are they don't know it's possible or nobody's done it yet. That doesn't necessarily mean it's impossible. And that's one of the big things that I like to live by, is the only reason something is impossible is because nobody's done it yet. Yeah. So like, that's where I really admire like what you're doing, because like, I don't know anybody else that has a detailing business. Like, and yeah, like you came into school and you were like, I got to figure out what I want to do, but we're back to this here. And now you're doing what you want and you're paving your own way despite all of that. And that's one of the things that I really admire about what you're doing. And that's why I thought you'd be a great fit to also share on that point.
Yeah, thank you. No doubt. And I going back kind of a little bit what I was saying about earlier, communicating early, I would say, really going off your point, you're going to have people that are going to doubt it. There's no question about it. And you got to stick to like your visionary thoughts, like being an entrepreneur, being something that you see yourself doing, you're visionary, so like you're envisioning what something could be in the future. And it's great to have, it's great to have hope, and it's great to look forward towards something. So I'd say stick to who you are, like be true to you, and don't let outside noise kind of influence your decision and rationale. I mean, even sometimes, family could say, like, why are you doing this? Like, you could be doing this. And it's about you at the end of the day. I know decisions now are helping shape everybody's future, especially young wise. And I think big picture stuff for young kids is to just focus on you right now, not in like a selfish way or being self-centered or anything like that. But at the end of the day, you just you got to look at yourself and say, what do I want at the end of the day? Regardless if that doesn't bring me in a steady paycheck, or regardless if it doesn't bring in the most money, you know, at the end of the day, you got to be happy with what you're doing. So there's no doubt.
Well, I have a question for you.
Mm-hmm.
So have you had people that have said, well, what are you going to do with this business? Or you got this degree, what are you going to do with that? Does it make you
Right.
feel some type of way when you feel like you have to answer this question? Do you ever feel like you have to answer a certain type of way for who you're talking to? Or do you
Right.
just kind of own it and say, this is what I'm doing and this is what I want to do and this is why? And if I don't use my degree, then I don't because I'm building this. Like, what is your answer for that? What are those situations like?
Yeah, no, I love that question. So I do get it a lot being young right now and still being in school. And, you know, I've had this business for 4 years now. And it's something I think about almost every day. You know, I know I'm going to have it at the end of the day. And I'm in school right now and I'm finishing it out. And, you know, I want to see where it goes afterwards. There's no question about it. But to get, I think, to the next steps in it, I'm going to probably need something else to help me along the way, you know, and whether if that is sacrificing time to get like a good job, you know, it's something that I enjoy doing after school and using those degrees to get a job and then being able to do detailing while that's growing as well. You know, it's a tricky game, but I'm looking forward to it. That's for sure. So.
Yeah, absolutely. I'll jump in here a little bit just because I know we've talked about a few different things today as far as like, I guess you could say setbacks or roadblocks go. And I just want to ask you kind of from your personal perspective, what do you think like a young entrepreneur today, like what do you think is their biggest roadblock right now?
If money is not a question there, I would just say yeah. I mean, a lot of people could look at it and blame it on I don't have enough money or capital to start. Like starting out a detailing business was like 2 buckets, 2 sponges, and like a thing of soap, you know, and just like a idea that formulated and tumbled. So I'd say you got to start small and you got to start somewhere. And you know, you're not going to have thousands of dollars to dump into something immediately. So, you know, take what you have, and if you believe in it, like you can achieve it. So I think starting small is definitely a big thing. And if you're thinking, you know, in your head, you need all this money, you really don't at the end of the day. You know, you can think of something or a way to get to that mark, I think.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go ahead and dish it over to April here. We haven't really given her too much time to talk today. So I want to see if you have any other thoughts that you want to kind of add to that.
I guess I was kind of thinking, like, I think this is just the mom in me. Then I'm like, okay, well, what is your idea of what you would do with your degree in the future? Like, you know, taking that aside, if you were going to do anything else, what would that look like with the education that you have and where you would go with it?
Right. No, yeah, no doubt. So looking right now, I'm looking at like a couple marketing positions, especially with everything going on right now, like working from home's like a really big one. And a lot of places are allowing that. So that could let me be flexible with my schedule and getting detailed jobs or getting clients. And I think that would be something I'd look at a little bit, but also I'm a really big people person. So something where I can operate, talk to people on a daily, some type of marketing. I enjoy doing that of detailing right now. So if I could somewhat stem from where I'm at in detailing, maybe take it over to the professional side, because truthfully, I've never have had a actual like clock in, punch out, punch job my whole entire life. So I've I've been told since kind of like a younger age, you know, if you want it, you gotta go out and get it. You know what I mean? Just from the sense of, you know, I wasn't going and asking my dad for money, no chance, you know, and it was just figure it out. So it's definitely something I want to explore and look into, because I think I can offer a decent amount to somebody else's company, no doubt about it, and be able to help myself learn a lot too in the process. That's like a big thing for me too, because there's a lot to the business side that I really don't know yet, and that's what I'm looking forward to, maybe getting into after school and everything. So.
Well, I can tell you this, and I mean, I know you both have to remember this from class last year, that everything that Gabriel talked about was having a big differentiator. You know, like what makes you different, what makes you stand out, what's going to make you look great on paper or great in person, whatever that looks like. And I love that you said that you would even consider doing a remote job. And that's what I'm doing right now. And I think that when we had talked about, you know, getting in touch with the wrong people or getting advice from people who don't really understand what you're trying to do, I can tell you that for you having your own business and for being as young as you are while also balancing this with school, you can just see that you are a self-starter. You have built something for yourself. You have multitasking skills. You self-start, and that is going to be your differentiator that's going to make you look better on paper or in person, however you were to meet someone, to allow you to have a role of a remote job because you can be trusted. So I feel like if anyone ever thought that what you were doing wasn't going to get you anywhere, that is 100% going to tell a business, well, he does this for himself. He obviously can get up and do it. There's no one telling him what to do. He's going to be a good fit for our company. So if anyone ever puts you down for anything, just remember that. Like, that already makes you are welcome.
I was very kind. Thank you.
You're welcome. But yeah, other than that, I don't think I have any other questions. I feel like you're going to be fine. Like I just said, you're a self-starter. You're in the middle of school. You're surrounded by the right people. I know you have a lot of great professors. Like I miss being surrounded by them every single day. They felt like family. And I think that's so important to have with your education, because they're going to do nothing but inspire you to go further and keep you getting connected with other people. And I'm excited to see what you do.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. We'll see what the future holds.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, as of right now, man, I've told you a million times, just keep grinding. Like, you're doing great so far. Like we just talked about, like you've done all this yourself. You're paving the way, and really, you're leaving a blueprint for people behind you that might not necessarily want to start a detailing business, but have an idea. And that's where, like you said earlier, like, we're young right now. Like, and it's okay to make mistakes. That's where, like, numerous times on this show, we've talked with different guests about, like, the stigma of failure and fear, like the things that go along with it. That this whole time we've been, I guess you could say, growing up, like living out in the world, we've been taught that failure is such a bad thing. But in all reality, what it is it's just an opportunity to learn and try again.
Yep.
And that's where, like, everybody's always taught us that failure is bad, that we want to avoid failure, but sometimes that's what you need to do. It's like, sometimes you need to fall flat on your face to learn whatever lesson that was. Like, I can tell you I've had a few, but point being, April can even attest to that. But point being that we are in the prime stage of our lives to make mistakes. Like, I know you pointed out earlier, like, I can tell you that came from my interview with Jason Nittman, and I've also talked about that a few other times. But we have a support system around us right now, or at least most of us, that we have someone that could give us a place to sleep, that could help us put food on the table for a little bit till we get back on our feet. Like, we are in a prime stage to mess up and just bounce back. And that's one of the truly powerful things about where we are right now. And like April had also mentioned, that only adds to the experience that you have. So what if you fell flat on your face? You tried. Like, to me, if I can walk in an interview and tell somebody that, you know, yeah, maybe I had some sort of startup that didn't work out, but I can at least tell people that I was grinding, trying to make it happen, and they'll understand that. Like most business owners have had some sort of opportunity that failed before whatever one that they're in right now. So
yeah, exactly.
It's all still marketable.
Yeah, you're always going to have options, no doubt about it, you know. So I'd just say go out and chase your dreams, you know. Whole point of the podcast, baby, you know.
Heck yeah, man. That's why, like we said earlier, just kind of don't let, like, other people's thoughts or fears affect you and your dreams and what you want to pursue. Mm-hmm. Like, if it's what you want to do, try it. Go get it. Like, if you're willing to put in the work and make it happen, go get it. Chase that vision, because, like, if it's something that you are personally, like, obsessed with, it's going to eat at you. And that monster's only going to grow stronger the longer you put it off. So might as well get after it.
Right. There's no sense in doing something or not doing something to live in regret. That's just not smart, especially young. You know, why live life young with regrets? So yeah, 100%.
Yeah, absolutely. But with that, I mean, we've talked about lots of great points today. I mean, and I love just the new kind of perspective that we've brought, just coming from a whole new kind of generation, honestly, where, you know, this is somebody that's in the trenches right now, getting after it, putting in the work, and just coming in to share their story and perspective. So I really love everything that you've shared with us today. And, you know, obviously, thank you for sharing all of it. I guess it is about time that we could start winding it down a little bit. I don't want to take up too much of your time, as well as the ears of the listeners. But one question that I always like to ask the guests as we kind of wind things down is like, and I know like how we said when we started off the interview that you really had a big ground zero moment. But looking back on the experiences that you have had, if you could kind of go back and have a conversation with yourself at one of those moments, whether that be, you know, some type of setback, learning experience, whatever that is, like if you could just go back and have that kind of conversation with yourself, what do you think you would say?
Ooh, that is a really good question. I would probably go with look into like young. If I'm talking to young Alex, I would say like look into yourself right now and just kind of weigh options early. Whether that's like what do you truly love? I would say I would say more so following your heart rather than your brain at that point. Like high school me, I would say. But you know, and everything's going to work itself out. No doubt about that. So, yeah, that's probably what I would tell 16-year-old or 18-year-old me.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I love it. I mean, I'm a firm believer in kind of like what goes around comes around. And you are definitely one of those people that I guess you could kind of say is like meant to serve. Like, obviously, from a young age, you have just kind of come out and wanted to provide people with a service. And things like that come back for you. Like, regardless of how it shows, it's going to come back to you. And like I said, like you just always kind of had that attitude that you're going to give your all for people and do whatever you can. And like I said, good things are going to come. So like I've said even earlier, dude, just keep grinding. Like you're going to get there. I know it. But dude, just keep doing what you're doing.
I appreciate it, man. That means a lot to me, seriously. So I mean, this show is awesome, and I'm looking forward to the future episodes of this podcast. I think they're going to be unbelievable. Getting some of these young kids up on here and just getting to hear their story, I think it'll be incredible. So.
Hey, absolutely. But you were always the first. Don't forget. So I'm gonna go ahead and swing it back to April a little bit. Just say, you know, do you kind of have any closing remarks just based on anything that we just said that you kind of want to add before we go ahead and wrap things up?
Oh no, I'm so sorry that we sat beside each other in class and I didn't know you. So it's nice to like meet you here now.
You're fine. I'm a to myself guy in the classroom, you know, but it was a fun class we shared together, that's for sure. So
I've loved hearing your story. And you know, I'm not just saying this, but like I have heard of you. And I was like, how do I know this name? I've heard of this kid. So you definitely made an impact. Like I have heard of like what you were doing. But everything you're doing is great. And I think you're a great role model. And I could only hope that, you know, I have two boys, that my boys are just as ambitious and driven as you. I think that's great. Like your mom should be so proud, and I'm proud of you.
Thank you.
And
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I really love what you're doing, and I think that's great. And you never let anything stop you, and that's just it's really wonderful. So
I appreciate that, girl.
Well, there you have it, everyone. The first of a new generation of Ground Zero guests. You really had a rock star today here in Alex Mullen. If you're from the area, hit him up. AM Auto Detailing, man.
Yes, sir.
Get your stuff right.
Servicing the Newcastle area now too, so we're
go.
Wilmington too, so
that's awesome, man. But, as I said, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. Your rock star of the day, Alex Mullen. Give him a follow, look him up. Great guy all around. So just with that, everybody, always remember, this is Dream Chasers Ground Zero, and there's nowhere to go from here. But thanks, guys.
Thank you.